is not all. Is it less crowded? You can choose a language you want to program in. It's all hosted in the website.
How many languages?
So there's blocks, touch develop, JavaScript, Python. You can do C, but not through the website. And then they create the code, then you just compile it, and then download it into Microsoft.
It's a sound art, but we're just yes.
And who's next?
Three, two, one, go!
Oh, you're back. Shame. Where's Marco?
The shoulders down, please, guys.
No, I'm there.
Right. Please leave the striker on, guys. Mini Maker. Oh, this current set, you normally need about 120 watts. So here we're running at about 42 volts. So I think it's 2.3 amps at the moment. So that's
components from a standard telescope. Standard telescope. So there's a mirror here, and then we've used a Raspberry Pi camera, and we've taken to the diagram on the back wall. We've taken the lens off the Raspberry Pi camera, just use its sensor, and then use the mirror as the imaging device for the Raspberry Pi. So it's really simple. And then then we sort of. So we can get images of the movement. But the whole idea wasn't to make a better telescope, it was to
Brilliant. Check it out. When you do
how that works.
What's this?
also a serial terminal onto a 1968 DEC PDPA. Not a real one. What's interesting about the PDPA is the very first PDPA in 1965 was $18,500. That made it the cheapest computer, most affordable computer around, because it basically brought in the era of the mini computer, or it's the most iconic example of a mini computer that meant it was affordable for, let's say you were a science laboratory of some sort. At that price, which would be about $140,000 now, you could afford to get a machine just for your room and not have to be renting time slice on a university computer or a mainframe from somebody else. It wouldn't be this size. That's a very much smaller version.
I was thinking it must be a bit bigger than that.
It would have been about 50% bigger on the front panel and much deeper, and it wouldn't sit in isolation like this. It would be part of a 19-inch rack mount, wardrobe-sized thing, where that would be about in the middle, and that box would have been just the processor. It's before the era of microprocessors, so there was no such thing as a one-chip microprocessor at the time. This box would have contained all of the wired logic to implement the processor, which in the first PDPA meant literally all made out of diodes and transistors. In this one, the /I model from '68, the I stands for integrated circuits, and you think, oh, in that case it'll have loads of stuff on one chip. Nah, it uses 14-pin 7400 series logic chips that would typically have 4 logic gates on each one, and it would need 519 of those to implement this processor. So it would still be a box full of cards of what they call flip chip cards that would be like a backplane, similar-ish to this, where backplane plus a load of cards on chips, only bigger. And in its base configuration, it was viable to expect somebody to write a program with pen and paper in an assembly language, manually translate that into the binary and octal codes needed to type in on the front panel, and literally use nothing other than the toggle switches and lamps to both type in your program, run it, read your result. That was a viable way of working. A slightly more expensive option, but much more comfortable, would be if you can add an ASR33 teletype unit, which would stand by the side of it, and instead of a keyboard and monitor, it's a keyboard and printer. So the teletype would be of the sort that you used to see in the football scores, coming on clackety clackety clack, that kind of thing. If you're going to use that, the ASR33 teletype also had an integrated paper tape reader. But if you need to use that, there's a downside. This has no ROM whatsoever. It does not boot into anything in its basic configuration. So printed on the front here, in this little boxed off panel, are the memory addresses and contents that you need to type in the binary panel in octal 0 to 7. That's why it's grouped in 3s, by the way, because that's three binary switches makes one octal digit. So if you type in these 16 instructions and then start, then it knows enough to start the paper tape reader and read from that. So then you can read in the program you actually wanted to run in the first place.
Yeah.
Here I've got it in a much later, early 70s configuration, where we've added a 10 megabyte disk pack, which still would have been a small refrigerator sized unit. It's a big unit with lots of platters, but now it's got enough to store an operating system on it, has something to boot into, and we can run levels of sophistication. Like this is running the first text adventure, Colossal Cave. It's the very first kind of go west, open grate, pick up lamp, that kind of adventure. It's the first one in existence. But we've got other games that will run on it, like there's a Star Trek game that runs on it. There's Game of Life that calculated generations of cells based on the previous generations. In fact, if I ask for help on this, we'll probably be able to see that the lamps. This is like an idle loop that it's in at the minute, so it's not really doing much. If I get it to do something that involves a load of text, you can see it's going crazy for a bit.
Yeah.
So when it's not idle, it's doing a lot of processing. It's only got 8 instructions. That's its entire opcodes is 8. So again, it's octal. It's a 12-bit word, so it only needs to use 3 of those bits for which instruction it's operating on, and uses the rest for a relative offset. By the end of life of these things, well, it had a bigger brother called PDP-11 that was very popular, but these were rolling off the assembly lines up until 1979. And by that time, the 8 bits were out, the microprocessors. You're only 2 years away from IBM launching the PC. And so the era of these beasts was long gone. Nobody wants to spend thousands on a cabinet-sized computer when you can get something that sits on your desk and can do the same job.
So I've got if there's a, they've got a particular hobby.
If you type in like some math, so to do like a class, you have to do shift first.
Kitty Klaus. 说不认准。
About 3 hours
Yeah, brilliant.
This one takes a while to get going and you probably won't realise what's happening for a bit. Oh, enjoy. I hope the sun stays kind of dull. plasma, you hear it, yeah.
So a few years ago, it was all about 3D printing. What made you want to do that? They are beautiful.
I think that's an answer, isn't it?
I teach robotics and system control. I want to do this.
Email me. I'm looking at producing these as kits.
I played around making my own coils about 20 years ago.
It's not a kit for the faint-hearted.
No, it's not.
Believe me,
No, it's
but
not.
I am looking at doing them as kits.
And really, over the last 10 years, have been the second most active